How
We are live.
does this work again? Like, how do we actually start these? Like, I haven't done this for such a long time. Dave, it is fantastic to finally see you again. It's been way too long.
You too, Daniel. Yeah, I think by the time this show goes out, we are well into February and into 2025. Wow. Yeah, lots happened, lots going on. Probably the same on your side, right?
Yeah, totally. But yeah, like we just started a new season, and then we had a week-long break just because there was Christmas and New Year and
Mm-hmm.
travels, and I don't know, like the start of the year was just like bumpy. But we're back in your
Absolutely.
favorite show, and it's called Waiting for Review, and it's a show about the majestic indie developer lifestyle. Join your scintillating hosts to hear about a tiny slice of their thrilling lives. I'm Daniel, expert clothes designer and owner of a broken rib, and I'm here with Dave, Glittercore entrepreneur and Linux on Mac expert. Join us while waiting for review.
I'll take that accolade. Thank you.
How's it going?
Yeah, pretty well, to be honest. It's been, yeah, an interesting start to the year. We've had a lot of life, a lot of non-indie dev stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
not even day job stuff, right? This has just been, yeah, life stuff, but kind of pulling out of some of the busyness with bits of that now, and yeah, getting back into the indie dev seat, which is good. But yeah, it's just been busy as, mate, as we would say here. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
no. Tell me all about it.
Well, yeah, put it this way. Some of my busyness is now turning out to be home renovation and DIY. We've got an older house that's fairly big and a lot of things that need doing. We've been here 18 months or so now, and as you might imagine, all the quick repairs and bodge jobs that somebody might do to sell a house are now wearing out, and we are starting to notice this needs
I
doing,
see.
that needs doing. Also, it's been very hot here, and we solved a problem just before winter last year where we got the house updated with its insulation and created another problem at the other side of the year, which is that the house now traps all of the summer heat. So, yeah, as much as I hesitate on things like this, I am now throwing money at the problem, and we're getting ground source heat pumps installed soon. So,
Awesome.
yeah, they will
Heat pumps
cool
are
as well as
such
heat.
cool
Yeah,
technology.
yeah, they really are, and quite efficient as well. So I'm very down with that. One day I'll get solar panels, Daniel, and then when the sun's heating everything up, I'll turn it into cooling, and I'll be like, "Ha! In your face, son!"
Son? Yeah. That's awesome actually. Yeah, solar power and then like making that power your heat pumps.
Yeah, I'm reminded of. Have you seen the cartoon animated film Penguins of Madagascar?
I know the characters, but I haven't seen that movie.
One of them turns around and goes, "I reject nature."
Sounds like me. I want concrete. I want air condition. I want public transport. I want ice cream stores.
Okay, down with that as well. Yeah, keep going.
What else? I like cultural entertainment. I want to be where I can meet weird people
Mm-hmm.
and see fun concerts and stuff like that. Yeah, like I like the city.
Fair play, fair play. I like a mix. I like a mix, and I'm getting a mix where I'm living here. So I'm definitely engineered the optimal Dave environment. But yeah, that's
Are
me.
you
Lots of
having
life.
enrichment time in your enclosure?
Or maybe. I've definitely been in my veggie garden and doing those things as well, Daniel. So I've currently got like a raised bed type bit with vegetables in it, and I've got a load of maize, sweet corn
Mm-hmm.
growing, um, which is kind of cool. I've grown them really close together though, so they're kind of small, but that's sweet. That's fine. Yeah, so
That's
they're
sweet corn.
exactly. But yeah, I'm looking and I'm like, I'm not sure we're going to be able to eat all of these. So that's a nice problem to have. Yeah, and I'm gradually turning into, my grandpa growing too many vegetables and then going around to the neighbors and asking them if they need anything, which
Oh,
is,
that's lovely, though. That's
yeah,
lovely. Those are the good neighbors.
I reckon. As long as it's actually tasty food.
And I mean, maize is called, in German, it's called Mais. And mice is nice,
Hey, nice.
as is rice.
This is only tangentially related, I guess, but I am 37, 38 days now into a Duolingo streak learning Dutch.
Oh,
So
nice.
I plan to give it about 6 months. I get
Fantastic.
down some basics and then switch to another language, which may well be German. So I'm it's more just an exercise in expanding basic knowledge for me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So the next season of this podcast is going to be called Warten auf. How do I translate review?
I do not know.
What's a good?
Ooh.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, I am very much in the basic words still.
Yeah, like that's just the next podcast then.
Daniel drinkt sap. That's where I'm at.
Goedemorgen.
Yeah, although I did notice, was it an orange is called sinaasappel?
Right.
And I'm like, oh, right, yeah, because it's like an orange apple.
Right. I can say smakelijk maaltijd, and I think that's about it.
What's that?
Enjoy your meal.
Hey, nice one. Yeah, so that's the whole thing, Daniel. And you've got Duolingo as well. With Duolingo,
Yeah, I'm like
buddies.
150 days into Spanish or so.
Ooh, get you. Nice.
See.
Yeah.
Right. Other than that, before we go into the first topic, I introduced myself as an owner of a broken rib. The rib is not actually broken; it's just bruised. But I was karting the other day, and I was involved in an accident that I did not cause, and I did everything correctly. But still, I was banged around a bit. So I have
No,
a
did they get like?
huge,
Is this the sort of
huge
thing where
bruise.
somebody raises the black flag on the course, and then you have to move the carts out the way? Was it that sort of bad?
Well,
of
yeah,
a
they did red
collision?
flag. They did red flag. It's not
Red
black
flag, yeah,
flag, but yes.
yeah. I can't remember.
Like someone that kind of spun in a corner that was a blind corner. So I just entered that thing and just looked the guy in the eye and was like, "You're in the wrong position." And so I managed to brake and then kind of half slam into the wall and half
Yep.
into him to kind of distribute
Yep.
the force. But that kind of also like just like jostled me against the seat, and then someone else like crashed into me from behind. So yeah.
Were you go-kart racing or were these dodgems?
I was go-kart racing. It was really fun though. I took a break for 15 minutes or so, and then I was back on the track. It was not racing. Was not per se because like it wasn't a race, right? It was just time trialing. But still, it was like super fun, and I can't wait to do it again. They have
It's
this
not
thing
a
where you
race,
can
but
like Monday evening you just pay an entry fee, and then you can run as much as you like on the course, and that's actually really cool.
nice. It's not a race, but you were going to win.
Like time tracking wise, I was mostly in the middle or the lower third. So do with that what you will.
Awesome. Well, I hope your not broken rib eases up if it's still hurting you, Daniel.
It's fine. Like if I touch it, it hurts a bit, but it's not like with a broken rib, you don't want to you have trouble breathing and stuff like that. No, I can breathe just fine. It's just when I poke it, so I don't poke it. This it's my strategy.
Do not trigger that level of humor in me, Daniel. Let's keep going. It is a new year, and we are into it now. We're right into things, and I guess we're trying to get things done. And I'm wondering, are you employing any tactics for this at the moment, Daniel? Because we've got a note there about that.
I am using things actually, like the app.
Okay.
And yeah, I was gonna just like I discovered that I want to like switch up how I manage my tasks, which I seem to do every half year or year or so. And I think one insight that I had is I thought this was a sign of me doing something wrong, that I need to switch it up.
Yes.
But I think by now I've arrived at the conclusion that me wanting to switch up or needing to switch up things every now and then to keep interest in them, That's just a feature of how I work, and that's
Yes.
just nothing. So like that's the first insight actually. Like there's no perfect way of managing how I like managing my to-dos or whatever. This is just like
Hmm.
this is the current iteration, and let's see how long it lasts, and then I'll find another one, and that's completely fine. And also I'm doing the same thing with like exercise now. Like right now I'm going to the gym, and in about 4 months or so I'm going to lose interest in the gym, so I'm going to go back on the bike, or maybe I'll go just like karting every week because my god, all my muscles are sore. So
Both.
yeah,
Both.
why not both?
Yep.
So, like one thing, I really wanted to update how I manage my to-dos because they've been getting too much. Like I used to default for like the last iteration of my to-dos was I used to have this huge to-do list, and so I didn't use most of the features of things or any other to-do list where you can like schedule stuff or like have different lists or whatever. I would just like put everything on the list, try to sort it by priority, and then it's just like every day I would just open the thing and just try to go as far down there as possible.
Yes.
But problem one is there's always going to be more added to that list than
It
it's going
never
to be
ends.
removed.
Yep.
Like there
Yep.
was no like I
Yeah.
didn't have a review thing, and I kind of like if you do getting things done the methodology correctly, which I very much don't, then you have a review step where you kind of like
Yes.
look at everything and then
You
decide, do I want to
you
do this or do I want to
you
remove
stage
this?
all of the things, if you like.
Right.
It's yeah.
And that's something I'm kind of wary of because it feels like to me like I would oftentimes not be able to bring myself to do that step, so I wouldn't do any to do so. It's like it feels like more of a barrier for me. But what I found out is if I have this huge list of just like things that keep growing and growing and growing and everything is frustrating, then it's very much disheartening because every time you open the thing, it's like, oh yeah, you have 120 items on your list.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yep.
You're gonna be able to close 5 of them, but 10 new ones are gonna be added by the end of the day. So
It's was it a Sisyphean task at
oh
that
yeah,
point?
totally.
Yeah.
If I was Sisyphus, I was just would just like put the boulder down in a place where it wouldn't roll down the hill.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
So
So
things and all of those things. Yeah.
first thing that I did is I began using one of the other lists. Let me just have a look what
I was
it's
going to
called.
say,
I
can
think
you
it's called
actually
Inbox.
Are you comfortable with screen sharing this so we get a visual, or do you want to just talk it through?
I will screen share it.
No
No,
pressure.
I
It's
think there's
okay.
people's names in there.
Yeah,
I'm
leave it.
gonna take a few screenshots later and then post them to Mastodon and add a
Nice.
link in the show note.
Cool.
Anyway, so Things has a list called Inbox, and you're actually supposed to put all the new to-dos in there. So first thing I did was I actually started using that list, not for new stars. I just like declared bankruptcy, put all the open stuff in the inbox, and then used the today view, like basically where I would like in the morning take 5 minutes and then just pull as the things that I really wanted to work on today and also are needed or whatever. Just
Mhm.
put that in there, and and then stop when I think, okay, my capacity is just reached, right? And that has the advantage already that I'm not seeing all the things that I'm not doing.
Yes.
And it also has the advantage that some tasks can just like quietly rot in the inbox. Because
Yes.
sometimes there's things where like this is kind of like this is important enough that I don't want to delete it, but also I don't want to do it today or ever. And like I might do it when it's like actually urgent.
This is all resonating quite hard with me. I posted yesterday to Mastodon that admin is my kryptonite. So
Same for
yeah.
me. And so that already started working pretty well for me. But then another thing that I noticed is that some days I will have lots of small, tiny tasks. And some of those will be work related. Some of those will be like just like apartment related, where, for example, I want to do the cleaning or like do get groceries or whatever, bring out the trash. I I kind of need tasks and reminders for, like, not even reminders, but like I just need a thing to tick off even for these things, or I will sometimes forget them. So yeah, but then the list is kind of cluttered, right? In the morning, it's like, okay, bring down the trash and also refresh the cat litter boxes and also answer this email about the thing to the customer and also get groceries. And I was like, oh, this is confusing because there's so many context switches in there. And
Yes.
so I added one more step, which is in things you can have these, they're called areas, but with other to-do list apps, I think you can also have like different lists or whatever. So I added one list that's called home and another that's called work. And you can then drag some of those items from that list into the today view. I should really take a screenshot for you later.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you have is like you have a sorted list for today. So my list will look like this. This is your items for today. For home, you need this, this, and this. And for work, you need this, this, and this. And it turns out that works really well for me, but it's not enough. So I actually split it up further. I split up home into mornings and evenings and groceries. Oh, in the mornings, and they're also sorted. Like, so mornings is the topmost thing though. These are things that I need to do before I get to work or start working at home. Cat litter stuff, for example, because otherwise the apartment will just smell.
Yep.
Then and then after work, I have evenings and groceries. So on the way home from work, I can get groceries. And then also, like, if I have like things that I want to do at home in the evening, like, I don't know, clean up stuff, do the dishwasher, do the laundry, then
All
I can
those
do that in
things.
the
Yeah.
evenings.
Okay.
And work, I also split that up into actual work and customer support, because this is the only way I can bring myself to do customer support, because I love it when people write us and I really love it, like helping everyone. But at the same time, it feels so hard, or it's so hard to bring myself to do these things, because I feel like if I write code in our code base, that helps or reaches like thousands of people.
Everyone.
If I
Yeah.
answer this email, this reaches just this one person. So it's always like a
Yes.
balancing act. But at the same time, some people will just need to hear that, oh yeah, this is actually broken on our side. I'm going to look at it. Or sometimes just like features are there, but very hard to find. Or you need to combine some stuff that is not very obvious. And so people will just need to write us. But yeah, that's
There's
a
no
different
getting
topic. So
around
now
that
I
bit
have...
in some ways, right?
Right.
That's just the task. But can I just interject 1 second here, Daniel?
Mhm.
I'm looking and I'm going, right, okay. So one of the things we've not talked about on the show and probably won't talk about in any depth, but I'm exploring an ADHD diagnosis. I've had an assessment. That's all going through, and I feel great about that, right? That's about me understanding myself a lot better in all of this. But one of the things from that sort of learning about myself is that, yeah, context switches are a big deal. Transitions between one mode or the other are tricky at times. You know, I'll describe like, yeah, I need a second to just change gear. You know,
Mhm.
so I sort of do go from one thing to another. But one of the other things is that when I've got a list of tasks and things to do, if it's not now, if it's not important, it definitely drops off the end. So the system you're describing to me resonates in a sense of what you're doing is you're organizing things into when they are now. If you
Yes.
describe right,
Oh
so
yeah,
your
that makes a lot of sense.
so your time of day stuff really makes sense, right? Okay, so I will spend a bit of time in the morning. This is when I go and sort this. Okay, right. That's a now. You know, you wake up, you've had your coffee or whatever your routine is, and then you look at the stuff and it's now. And then everything's getting sorted into their other now times of day. And I guess you've got some then next level prioritization inside of that as well. So this makes a lot of sense to me. Equally, for me, yes, I rinse and repeat new systems on a regular cadence. It will work and hold for 2 or 3 months at best, and then I will definitely need to refresh stuff because I just get bored.
Yeah, totally. And
Yeah.
that's fine too. Like, that's one thing that I've realized about the way my brain works is I'm fine with that now. Like, this is actually
Mm-hmm.
not a position of shame. So
No.
yeah, that's how my current system works. I have mornings, I have support, I have work,
Mm-hmm.
which is everything except support stuff. I have groceries and I have evenings. And that works surprisingly well because also it groups the support stuff. So I can, like, when I've finished like answering one request, and those are hard to quantify because sometimes it's a one-liner that I can answer, but sometimes it's like, okay, I need to look at the customer, then I need to look at their data, then need to look at our SDKs to see like if actually the thing that they want can be done or whatever. But yeah, if I gather some momentum, I can just like try to force myself to do a few more customer requests. So yeah, and then I do the programming part because that's actually the most fun. And then like I haven't found a way. I might have to split up the work thing more if there's any other admin stuff. But I have the distinct pleasure of having a this designated admin time. Like every Monday afternoon, I meet up with Lisa virtually or in person, and we go through all the admin stuff together. And so usually there's not so much admin stuff in the rest of the week for me, which is awesome.
That's great. I think it's good to give these things a thought. It's good to give it a bit of an approach and try stuff out. And yeah, really cool to hear about your system there, Daniel. I feel like I'm going to borrow a few bits of that. I'm going to be getting things done merged with a now and not now system.
I like that framing. I like that way of looking at it, as in like when is it now? Because yeah,
Yeah,
that's totally it. And I still need to do like a bit of review in the morning, but basically like I'll be looking at it and be like looking at the inbox or whatever, and be like, what is things that needs to be happening today? But
yeah.
yeah,
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, the other thing it gives you is a support request come through or things come through in the other times. It lets you go, yeah, that's great, but it's not now. And you've got that safety in knowing that, you know, tomorrow or the next day or whenever it is will be now, it will get sorted. So it's not like it's just going into a black hole. It's
right,
got a spot.
right. We're
Yeah,
also
that's great.
considering actually going to use, like trying to use a actually support system like Help Scout or Zendesk.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've been like against it because especially Zendesk is just like really important and complicated. And so we've been using email basically, but that's kind of reaching its limits.
It will. Yeah.
And I've also recently discovered a new thing called Help Scout, which seems like a Zendesk but in small. I haven't tried them out yet. They haven't paid me anything to say this, but I might just try them out.
I think it's a case of, again, it's a case of trying to cook the system and seeing how it fits and all of that. But is Help Scout one you can self-host? Because I'm kind of entering
No,
into that phase of my life at the moment.
no, it does not seem like it does. But that's an important consideration. Now you're thinking about it. Like I
Yeah.
am famously against self-hosting, but I might have to. Like we're not talking about recent events so much on this show, which is fine because you
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
a break from that every now and then.
Oh, God, yeah.
But at the
Yeah.
same time, you don't want to be beholden to too many things, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Right. So
I
they
think
don't
it's,
seem to have self-hosting.
yeah.
And so yeah, that needs to be entering the conversation as well. Because the other thing is, of course, if you're self-hosting, then you have the downsides of self-hosting, which is you're responsible for
Admin,
things.
support, turning the server over, doing what you need to do, backups, all of that. But on the flip side, you own your data and you know where everything is. So,
Good point. Good point. Also, this might push me into like looking at systems that we already have and seeing if we can use those, like our ticketing system or just like our Notion, because we have Notion, and that's not self-hosted, but I do like auto export all the content every 2 weeks. So if they go down or whatever, I have the content at least.
and it's important. I mean, a bit of a side note. Yeah, I'm definitely
Yeah,
going
go
down that sort of self-hosted route for a few things, and I've been leaning that way for ages.
ahead.
But ultimately, for me, it's about just having a bit of certainty of where data is, and can I shift services should push come to shove. You know, all of those sort of things like that's been quite on my mind, even in my personal life. So I've got I built, we talked about on the last show, I built that NAS, that home NAS system. I've got a job that runs every hour that downloads all of my photos from iCloud
Hmm.
to the NAS. And there's a lovely little like iCloud Python script thing that I found that does this job. And so every hour I get a little email come through from the NAS saying the status of the job, which I should probably turn off, but it's kind of cute. I sort of get this like, I know I get, like way back when you might have an hourly beep on your watch or something. It's like I get the notification from the NAS and I'm like, cool, the NAS is running well, all my photos are synced. But yeah, that gives me all of my photos and videos off my phone locally on storage, and I like that. I like that sort of
Fantastic.
certainty.
Yeah, I get that. I can totally relate.
But
But we can totally use this as a jump off point as well, like
go for it.
because you've been playing around a lot with Linux and like alternative ways of using your hardware, right?
Yeah.
Tell me
So,
about that.
well, okay, let's set the scene. What am I actually up to at the moment? So, and hey, I'm going to talk about my indie dev. So, here we go.
What a rare occurrence.
A novel concept. I pushed a couple of updates to my apps just over a week ago now, and they are final releases of features to some degree, and everything is now on bug fixes and maintenance mode to some degree for my
Okay.
apps. For a reason, I want to spend probably about 3 or 4 months exploring things like Kotlin Multiplatform and Compose Multiplatform properly instead of just saying I'm going to do it, because I've been saying I'm going to do it for the last year on and off.
I'm gonna do it. I'm
Yeah,
really gonna do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I'm
I'm
gonna.
done. I'm done with Apple, like, and then it's like, oh no, I've bought a new iPhone. So I'm kind of trying to get myself into gear on that. And the point for me is, well, I want to develop with Kotlin Multiplatform and Compose, explore how I can set my apps up in that side. The goal being that if things work out well, then I've got a code base that I'm deploying to Android, iOS, potentially Linux, potentially Mac and Windows as well. There's going to be some overhead. There's going to be some paper cuts and issues. I know that. I'm biting off more than I can chew. However, this is how I have fun, right? The whole reason I do this is because I kind of enjoy this sort of problem.
That's the thing, right? You don't need to rely on this job to pay your food, like to put food on your table. This is what you do for fun.
Yes,
So you're
yes,
allowed to do it in the way that you want to do it.
exactly. And I think it's worth calling that out for anybody who's trying to do this sort of stuff professionally is, well, no, I'm here to have fun with this primarily. There's a jumping off point, if stuff ever starts to really take off in one way or another, well, then I'll need to get my head together and tighten a whole bunch of things up and all of that. But that'll be a nice problem to have. At this stage, I'm trying to just explore things, have fun, expand my knowledge. And also there's a values thing underneath this as well, which is my app enables people to perform live video with their iPhone. And one of the values I've got there is that it makes it easy to do this sort of thing for everybody. Well, not everybody's using an iPhone. So there's the conundrum, the value, if you like. I feel like if I do this and I pull it off, well, I can say, yes, it's for everyone with capital E. Yeah. Back to the point though, what have I been doing? I put Linux on a MacBook Air that I've got, but it's an M1 MacBook Air, and unfortunately, it's a little bit clunky to get Android Studio and other environments I might need for mobile dev working on it. So it works lovely as a little Linux machine, but it's not giving me what I need for mobile dev. Handily, after building the NAS, I ended up with a 2018 Intel Mac Mini sitting there doing nothing on my desk.
I have one
So
of
what I
those in my basement, unused. I
yeah,
think I need to pull that out at some point.
yeah. Installing modern Linuxes onto it isn't really that hard. You need to do a couple of things if you're on the latest Mac OS to enable it to select a different disk at boot time. You hold down Alt and you can select. I think I needed to unlock some of the security to let it do that. I can't really remember now. There was a step somewhere there. But then after that, it's dead easy. You just hold down Alt and you can boot a USB stick with Linux installation on it. As I no longer wanted Mac OS on this machine, I just nuked the entire boot drive and put Linux on there. I tried using an external drive in the middle of all of this, and dual booting Mac OS and having Linux on an external USB drive Not cool. Yeah, I lost the installation at one point just by unplugging the drive and plugging it back in, and then for some reason everything just unraveled. Anyway, installing on the whole machine. I'm exploring various different flavors of Linux at the moment. I've tried Linux Mint, currently trying Fedora. Fedora by default is a specific windowing environment, so I've installed 3 different windowing environments on that, and I keep switching between them at boot time to see which one I like the best. Shout out to KDE. It's winning at the moment because it runs faster than anything else, and I like that. The UI is nice and snappy.
Right. Because if you use Linux and want a graphical interface, you have
Mm-hmm.
three options. You can either use the one that makes you look like a hacker, you can use the one that likes dragons,
Mm-hmm.
or you can use the one for foot fetishists.
You mean GNOME. And Dragons would be KDE for their mascot. Yeah. But this is the thing, right? I think you got to have a think with this sort of stuff about why and what you're doing. At the moment, I'm in explore mode and just finding things out. I used to use Linux a lot, sort of circa 2007 to 2010. So some of this isn't new to me. And actually, some of the libraries and the this, that, and the others of it haven't really changed since then. They've just evolved. And I've used it on and off for other things in between as well. So it's not like, oh, everything is new to me. It's more like just discovering where things are and what I prefer. But yeah, so I've been exploring other things like, okay, how does Steam work for gaming? Can I turn on the compatibility layer? Yes, this Mac is an integrated graphics card and runs everything like the proverbial dog shit. It grinds and slows down, but the compatibility stuff that Steam has actually works well, so that's interesting. Don't need Windows for a lot of games. This is relevant because I have an 18-year-old son who wants to play with this stuff as well, but doesn't know as much as I do, so I'm trying to check these things out so I can help him as well. But yeah, anyway, when we next talk, hopefully I've actually booted an IDE and started running some code. I've made a repository. I have a basic KMP, CMP project, but I haven't got past Hello World.
Well, that's the most important step.
Yeah, yeah. So hopefully I'll have a bit more to talk about on that next time, but I'm settling in. And yeah, I've got a Mac Mini next to my Mac Studio. I switched the monitor. I've literally got 2 keyboards set up as well, so I just move one in front of the other at the moment. And I've got a button on my mouse. I can switch it between different receivers. So that's working okay. A desktop full of wires I need to clean up. But
Of course, of course.
the long-term goal here, though, Daniel, is do I really need macOS? And the answer will be, if this works, no, but I will need it for doing iOS builds. And that's
Which
fine.
is fine.
Yeah,
It seems to me like you're not actively disliking being on macOS. You just like want to have the option to be everywhere.
that's right. Yeah.
So like having a macOS based build machine or whatever like doesn't seem too horrible.
No, not at all. Not at all. And my Mac Studio is lovely, and there's no way I'm throwing everything out the door just to be Mr. Linux. But yeah, I mean, on that note though, I will probably sell the MacBook Air, and I'll probably sell the Mac Studio if this is the Mac Mini if this is working. Too many Macs. And then buy a laptop that is, I know the hardware is really good for Linux. Everything runs out the box because
There's a
I got,
company here in
yeah.
Augsburg called Tuxedo Computers that
Oh, yes.
which makes, as you can probably imagine, Linux based laptops.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I have come across them actually as I've been searching these things
Right.
out.
Only downside is they don't have any like models that they're selling right now that are not Intel based because
Okay.
we talked about this before, but like, I would so like to have like an ARM based machine
Hmm.
because like ARM based machines are just like so like they're just like fast and long lasting and everything that
Yeah.
Intel machines aren't. But I talk to them every now and then because like they have things like they are in the startup hub location every now and then, and they showed me their prototypes and everything, but it just like needs a bit more work, and there's like
Yeah.
not enough drivers, and like things are just different, and
Yeah. I and again, like just my experience with Asahi Linux on the MacBook Air is that getting things like Android Studio that are based around Intel and X processors to run is a pain. So actually, I want less pain with this if I'm
You
going to
want
do
less
that.
pain. Okay. I see. I see. Oh, okay.
And some of the new Intel chips, Daniel, like apparently are starting to match some of the performance and energy saving sort of sides that the ARM chips present as
All
well. I
right.
think it's the
That's pretty neat.
the Intel Ultra series. I think has some of this. So it may all just be things people say on the internet, so I need to prove this out. But regardless, this is fun. I'm having fun. I'm learning things again.
That's the most important
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. So watch this space. Maybe the Mac Studio becomes just a build server in time. A Linux laptop becomes my comfy space, and then I probably care less about the graphics capability of an Intel chip on a laptop because I like building PCs, and I guess there's a gaming or beefier PC workstation in my future if I go that path.
Right. Gotta mine those crypto coins.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But no, anyway, that's me.
How would you? I have like follow up questions.
Hmm.
How do you? Because it sounds like you're describing like a menagerie of computers. And my first instinct is to put all of those into one box to have
Mm-hmm.
like less cable salad.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you planning to do that, or is that something you've thought about?
Not really. I mean, the Mac Studio is not exactly a huge device, right? I'm looking at it now. Like the worst case scenario here is that I end up with a laptop that I'm using for this multi-platform dev, and the Mac Studio kind of gets pushed to the side as a build server that I can flick my monitor to every now and again if I need to. I'd probably take away its keyboard right now because in those moments I would just be able to plug in the other keyboard that I've got on my desk or whatever.
Or you can just
But
like VNC in.
exactly that, yeah. So at the moment I don't have a plan, but as I said to you, I'm thinking about selling machines and consolidating them into a single laptop. So that's. But yeah, I guess the other thing is I don't necessarily care. I've got a reasonable amount of room in this room. I can move things around and be sorted. So that's probably the answer. Dave doesn't really care.
All right, fair. Because while you were talking, I was like getting in myself this feeling of I would like to have like this machine that I'm sitting in front of,
Hmm.
of me right now. Like that's always in front of me, right? But I have in my apartment right now, I have like various machines that are just like kind of sitting in cupboards. Like I have right now, I have the Synology. I have the Mac Mini, the ARM based Mac Mini that is a build server for telemetry deck, and but also that thing has a external hard drive that is shaped exactly like a Mac Mini. And then
Yeah.
as you noticed, like I just realized I actually have another Intel based Mac Mini in the basement, and I'm thinking of reactivating that. I kind of wanna like I wanna put them into a server rack for lack of a better word,
Hmm.
but it can't be a normal server rack because A, that doesn't fit
They're not normal
into my
sizes.
office.
Yeah.
And B, they don't fit into that kind of stuff. Like because so are there like there must be like mini fridges of server racks, right? Which is just like a tiny um a tiny rack basically, a like that is maybe ventilated.
Yeah.
And then,
I
do you
I
have any
really
experience
don't
with that?
know. Not at all. And this is something I probably need to get experience at some point because I built this NAS and it's kind of just sat in the living room next to the cabinet that we've got the TV in. It's fine. It sort of blends in, so it's not really an issue for us. But there is a point where, yeah, I wouldn't mind racking things up and getting some things out of the way. Like if this is where things are going for me, well, I've got a home NAS. The Mac Studio could probably be racked if it's just becomes a build server for running builds, right? And then yeah, I wouldn't rack the Mac Mini. That's going to go. But yeah, I really don't know. The mini fridge of racks sounds about right to me, like for our needs.
I feel like I wanna research that a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to spend a lot of money and I don't want to go too wild on this.
Mhm.
famous last words. But yeah, if I'm going to experiment with all of this a bit more, then maybe that's kind of worthwhile.
Yeah.
So yeah, also the thing, also maybe like I need to just 3D print some holders to be able to screw the Mac Minis into place or something, you know?
That sounds like an easily doable thing,
I
to be
still
honest.
don't
And
want to
yeah,
own a 3D printer, but I have now found a venue to get access to one because
awesome.
my city has a place called the Habitat. And that is a makerspace, and you can
Lovely.
basically join them and then 3D print stuff there. So I'm tempted to try that out on the weekend.
Makerspaces are awesome. So yeah, definitely try that out if you've got some downtime, Daniel, for sure. These are the things, right? We could nerd out and go really all over the place with these things in our lives. And I think, obviously I'm having fun with the stuff I'm playing with at the moment. It kind of relates back to my indie dev, but it is also very much hobby mode, right? I'm exploring this stuff just because I find it fun. If I was in serious business mode, there's a point where maybe manager Dave would be looking at this and saying, dude, you've got an existing stack, the apps are running well, explore this on the side, but don't make it the main thing. Keep
Oh
cranking
yeah,
features
totally,
and making them
totally.
better. Yeah.
That would also be my recommendation if you were in, if that was your livelihood, basically.
Yes, but also there's a point here where I'm looking at this for so many other reasons, right? I mean, this state of the world stuff and this, that, and the other. I look at where Mac OS is going and where the latest updates have been in terms of saying what I can and can't run on my machine, for example, in terms of how Mac OS is working and the ability to just say, oh, actually, that's nice Mac OS, but I want to run this, seems to be becoming harder and harder. And I'm like, well, actually, maybe I want to be on an operating system that doesn't give a shit and lets me do what I want to do, you know? So yeah, there's a bit of that as well. Like, so I can look at this and I can go, well, actually, if I've explored this and it's working, come later on in the year, like, I don't care what the next version of Mac OS does, as long as I can still build my apps through Xcode on it on a build server. Um, there's another point though, where if I go this route and I explore it and I decide it kind of sucks and I have all these issues with the edges on it, at least I know, right? At the moment, I don't know. It's kind of like this, oh, maybe not. Um, so it's not going to hurt me. It'll end up being a qualified opinion one way or the other for me. And yeah, if the outcome is, hey, this is lovely, I found all these things that work really well, I'm doing multi-platform dev for all the things, I've somehow figured out all of the ways to make video mixing work in a multi-platform way, that's going to be fun. If I'm at that point at any time in the next year or two, I think I'll be quite happy. So we shall see. And if it doesn't work, I'll find other things to do, and that's fine too.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm totally on board with that. I think we're almost at the end, but because we have like 5 more minutes or so,
Yeah,
I have like one thing that I can tell you what I did that kind of fits into those, which fits into the oh yeah, let's try and explore new things that are kind of outside of the corporate world, or like get a bit more control over our digital lives. So a tiny thing that I did was I stopped using Audible. So I'm a huge audiobook listener. And so I've had an Audible account for ages, and you pay them $10 a month, and then for that you get 1 credit, and you can use a credit to buy an audiobook, right? And that is cool and everything, but recently I fallen way behind. I got like 36 credits or so. That's like $360 of unused audiobooks. And so I'm like, okay, I want to do something with this. Like I want off, but if I just cancel the account, the credits are just gone and I can't listen to that stuff anymore. So what I did is I found an application that is called Open Audible. And that is the worst user interface I've ever seen. It's very much a Java app.
yeah,
And it is very much an app that is like written by someone who is not an app or a user interface developer. But
yes,
it does exactly the thing. Like it's called Open Audible, which is kind of weird because you actually pay money for it. Like I paid like, I don't know, $30 for it. But what you do is like you log in with your Audible account. It kind of grabs all the metadata for your audiobooks. It pulls them down, converts them into either MP3 or M4B, and then you just have them as files. And you can use the book player, for example, which is an excellent open source iOS app for audiobooks, to play them. And so basically I went on a shopping spree and I bought 36 different books that I always wanted to use up the credits, then slurped all of that down onto my hard drive and canceled the Audible account. I also canceled Goodreads, and I'm on Storygraph now for book management, which also has a horrible user interface. Horrible user interface. I tell you, like,
a lot of these things do, unfortunately.
like,
yes.
I'm like, is that a saying you can say in English? Like, if you're in a glass house, you shouldn't throw stones.
Yeah.
I know that the user interfaces that I write aren't the best. Like, there's criticism there, but still, oof, I would so much like that to improve, but I'm sure that will improve, actually. Sorry, for Storygraph. If not, I'm going to go to Bookworm, which is on the Fediverse even. But yeah, anyway, I have a book wish list. I have my audiobook files, and I'm switching from Kindle to Kobo.
Yeah, Kobo is lovely, by the way.
Also, and also too, actually, just like you can borrow books from your library.
Mm-hmm.
Ebooks even. And so
that's fantastic. Have a request, Daniel. Can you link all of these things in our show notes for me? Because actually I want to explore some of this at some point too.
I will do that.
Yeah. But on that note, all this cord cutting and open source exploration, all the rest of it, I'm sure we'll talk more about indie dev specifically another time. This all relates and underpins, but it has been lovely, Daniel, to catch up with you after what feels like ages.
It has indeed. It was ages. Like last time we talked, I was during the Bush administration, I think.
Yeah, we're not going to get topical, but my word, it's like every week feels different at the moment. Give us the outro, mate.
I will give you the outro because I'm saying thanks for listening. Please rate us on iTunes and like us on YouTube. Also, like, subscribe or whatever. Send us emails at contact@waitingforreview.com and join our Discord. The link is in the show notes. Follow me at daniel@social.telemetrydirect.com. And Dave, where can people find you?
Great question, because I've been all over the place with social media in the last month as well. I think Mastodon's probably the best place for listeners of the show right now if they want to contact me in any text-based way. So I'm at dave@social.lightbeamapps.com on Mastodon and the Fediverse. And for pictures and videos and all that sort of jazz, I am lightbeamapps.com, all one word, .com, on Instagram.
Fantastic. All right. Have a great day. See you soon. Stay salty. No, stay fresh, cheese bags.
Stay frosty.
All right.
I'm out.
Bye.
Catch you, mate.